down the stretch. Once Kemba, you got to understand, even if the shot clock winds it down, they had 8 seconds, but they winded up getting the steal. They needed to be a little more patient. If I'm Kemba, I would have waited and see if I can get Jason Tatum the ball. He was the hot guy right there.
Yeah.
But in all, it was a good game. A little more patience toward the end, I think they would have got a better shot.
Here's what I want to ask you, Hall of Famer. They got your number hanging in the rafters. What y'all going to do about the 5 spot? I think players like Andre Drummond, JaVale McGee, Steven Adams, y'all should try to do whatever y'all can to shore up that spot. When y'all go against the Bucks, the Pacers, the Sixers, they pound y'all down low.
It's a hard time stopping this man tonight. But listen, even if they can't make a move, they got to work with what they got. And think about this. Tatum and Brown, they're going to be great this year. Kemba has to get his legs back clearly. He hasn't had his rhythm back. It's clear he went 1 for 12 tonight. If he gives them anything tonight, they go away beating the Lakers handily. So I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't push the panic button too much if I'm the Celtics. They just got to improve from within.
Tatum and Brown, they combined for 58 points. Something that we all hate to see was Marcus Smart going out, and that plays into what you're mentioning about defense, because as you mentioned, sometimes he's got to go up against AD and be the physical body in the paint that you need.
Yeah, well, that's a huge blow because the Celtics already don't have depth. And so when you use a starter right there, then you ask somebody to come off the bench and play starter minutes. And so we have to wait and see what the diagnosis is on Marcus Smart, but that's not good at all, especially what such a tough competitor he is. If they lose him for an extended time, it's going to be a tough role for the Celtics.
And Marcus Smart is one of those players that may not be All-NBA, may not be an All-Star, but if you're going to win a championship, you need a guy like that on your team. And the Celtics really need him, not only to defend in the backcourt, but as you guys mentioned, in the front court as well.
All right, well, that's exactly what we wanted in a rivalry game between the Celtics and the Lakers. It was a 1-point game, came down to the last possession. Unfortunately, it was a heartbreak for you, Uncle P, but that's all right. You got more chances coming.
He's really sad, Maria.
He was. You should have seen his face.
Oh, but look, the Celtics should be really encouraged. You didn't get a lot out of Kemba Walker.
There you go.
Marcus Smart went down and really didn't give him much in this game. So you got to be a little encouraged. And so moving forward, hey, this is a tough loss, yes, but they're right there with just about anybody.
And if you're the Lakers, you're even more encouraged because you got the win. LeBron James had 21 points and AD had 27. Let's take you around the league because we had Dame time, guys. He had 6 points in the final 5 seconds of this one.
Oh, my goodness.
To get the win.
He shot that from Highland Park, Illinois right here.
Lillard, logo Lillard, huh?
Okay, really? So, look, it gets tied up, so we got to go to a jump ball, right? So who do you think is going to end up with the ball?
I'm probably going to be the only person to say free Zach LaVine, for real, from Chicago.
Not a step back.
Oh, no!
Yes.
Come on.
Dame Dollar with 44 and 9.
Third career buzzer beater for Dame Dollar. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next Saturday. Your local news is coming on except for the West Coast.
Wow.
Outside Jalen Rose, looking great in green.
What up, though?
Paul Pierce, always representing the Celtics, one of those championships and a finals MVP, but they're split at 17. Paul, it could have been 18 with you guys in 2010. How do you feel? You look salty already.
I'm disgusted. We all know it should be 18-16. 2010, we let them get away. But you have two of the most great franchises going at it to see who's going to go up one.
But your Celtics were the first team to give an NBA Gatorade bath.
When you think of the Celtics,
Nobody's done that since.
when you think of Celtics and the Lakers and the rivalry between the two, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
The definition of storied franchises. It's like Lakers, Celtics, Yankees, the NBA. Hall of Fame is littered with so many players from their teams. Both those franchises basically have 50% of the championships in the history of the NBA. The early incarnation of the NBA was dominated by the Celtics. Once free agency kicked in, the Lakers have found their way to catch up. So there's going to be a great matchup against so many terrific NBA performers.
Yeah, and you mentioned the fact about the 17 championships for each, but also the fact that they've produced 18 MVPs. 8 different players have won it over the course of this rivalry. So not only is it great teams, but it's great players. But let's get you set for this matchup, this era of Lakers and Celtics. And it all starts with who is playing with confidence. Brought to you by New Amsterdam Vodka. How about LeBron James? Yet again, playing at an MVP level this season, currently favorite to win the award. He is one of 3 players averaging 25 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists so far this season. And James and rest of the Lakers got off to a hot start, becoming the 6th team in league history to win each of their first 10 road games of the season. But the streak did come to an end with back-to-back losses this week, including dropping one to the Pistons. That was their first loss by double digits.
Detroit basketball!
But did it for Jalen. But here's LeBron James on his energy level so far this season.
Mindset never gets to a point where it's like, okay, this is a long road trip. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I don't even think about that. You know, we have our games. I'm ready to go. When we're not playing, you know, I have an opportunity to rest and get my body back right, get my mind refreshed. But I'm getting tired.
That's after playing 5 road games, guys, in his 18th season and 36 years old. What impressed you most? Because I feel like we should sit back sometimes and just watch what's happening in front of us.
You're going to appreciate this one. LeBron James is a knockdown shooter.
Yeah.
He's the most efficient NBA player off the dribble from three-point range this season. And you see that little stanky leg, that last right-hand dribble? He stick out his leg. It looked a little funky, P, but that's his balance, and he found his rhythm. He making jumpers, turnaround jumpers, not looking at the rim. I think that's the difference.
Well, we know, like, when you see the great players, as they get older and some things go away from you, you evolve. And that's what we seen with LeBron. With Jordan, it was athleticism. He went to the fadeaway. Same thing with Kobe. And now you're seeing that with LeBron. As he's gotten older, he's become a better shooter. And that's just the testament of his greatness.
Yeah, it's impressive to be in your 18th season and at this moment be averaging a career high in three-pointers made, your field goal percentage, and your three-point attempts. He's averaging 33 minutes a game, but like you said, I don't even feel tired. So we know that we're going to get a good game from LeBron James tonight. But there's also other storylines in the NBA, and one of the biggest guys still is Bradley Beal, because he is right now one of the best players in the league. Where is Woj? Because we need to know. Listen to this. Bradley Beal is averaging 35 points a game. That's leading the entire league. But Washington has one of the worst records in the NBA. Adrian Wojnarowski, please help us with
good on the Pistons,
Bradley Beal.
Maria, guys, there are no shortage of teams in the league who are monitoring the Bradley Beal situation in Washington, who would love to get involved in trying to acquire Beal, but he's not available, and that's chiefly because he's not interested in a trade right now. And I talked to his agent, Mark Bartelstein, this week, and he said that the only thing he and Beal had been talking about is how to get this Wizard season turned around. And while they're 3-12, they're still just one loss in the loss column, you know, behind, or three losses, excuse me, behind the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. So right now, they're starting to get players out of the COVID protocol, a chance here to become more competitive. But there's a sense, and I think a hope in Washington, you know, that they can address the Beal situation after the season and not have to